Welcome back to the LCS Academy, powered by Verizon. I'm Azal, joined by Joshi and Mad Magical after a dominant, I don't know if it's even the right word for it, because Cloud9 Academy definitely smashed that first game against 100 Thieves Academy, taking a first loss in 11 games now for 100 Thieves. I think that's incredible, but we're going to take a little break. We're going to take a little reprieve. Hopefully Tenacity and the rest of 100 Thieves can do so as well and come back good, because we got our halftime show, and this one's going to be a fun one because we have Joshi playing Speed Run for the first time here. Going to introduce the little premise here. It is another episode of Academy Speed Run. This is where I have chosen 2 clips total of this game that we just watched. Hopefully memorable clips, although that game was very one-sided, so a little bit harder to do so. But I've chosen 2 clips. What we're going to do is I'm going to give a clip to each of you, right? And we're going to start off. We're going to introduce the clip. We're going to have the other caster who is not assigned the clip close their eyes. Trust falling, keeping your eyes covered, blindfold, everything along those lines. You got a new blindfold. I like it. It's the Doge.
It's an actual blindfold.
It's an actual blindfold, not a mask this time. So what we'll do is they'll be blindfolded, as Magical is being a good guinea pig right now. We will prop up the first clip, let it sit there for a couple seconds while I get you on your way, and then you, sir, the person, I guess at this point, Joshi, are going to have to describe said clip to Magical with the least descriptive words possible. No big names.
Least descriptive words possible. Okay, no names.
Well, I guess descriptive is not the right one. No, pronouns, no team names, no objective names, things like that. You can use ability names if you need to, but don't use anything that stands out too much.
No champion names.
You got to try to recollect the memory of your co-caster here for this one. So
okay.
He's already blindfolded. We're just going to run with it. And what we'll do is, again, I'll let you set up for a second. Then after we get done with the description from you, we'll get Magical's blindfold off, and then we'll go through the clip with Magical, see if you got the right one. So with Magical blindfolded, let's go ahead and bring up the first clip. We'll give you a couple seconds to get your bearing straight. When I say go, that is your time to start the clip and start the descriptions, all right? So we'll start off by seeing the set. Oh, we're just going to go with it. Go!
Oh, okay. A couple of people go towards the center, and one player doesn't have an opportunity to use a summoner spell before they burn.
So it's going to be the play where Destiny showed up and used Ignite mid lane? Or is it?
No way.
Yeah, it's going to be
Could
that
it possibly be? Could it possibly? So what I was hoping with this one, I was going to throw you off a little bit, although I probably should have chosen the second one where he survived. This play happened so many times, and you were correct, Magical. It was the play where Destiny comes in, gets the burn, the prolonged burn on the Jimmian, and we'll go ahead and bring that play back up. Show Magical the correctness that he did have, compared to Cubby Joshi, you're on the next level for your descriptors there. He knew exactly what you were going for.
Yeah.
I think I'm not supposed to be looking at this.
Nope. We're not going to play this one just yet, Joshi. We're going to keep it up.
I might have gotten a little bit of spoilers.
Maybe a little bit. But it's okay. It's okay. So, I don't know. I guess we could probably just go to the second clip at this point.
All right, I suppose we can.
One. The first one was that Ignite, though. You're huge, Magical. Good job.
Big brain over here.
Joshi, keep those eyes closed. I'm going to need those eyes, the fingers on the eyes. Let's go ahead and bring up the second clip now. Go ahead and give Magical just a few seconds to get rolling on that one. Make sure he gets his bearing straight, and then we'll go ahead and play the clip as well to give some descriptive words. I can't see you, Joshi. I need to see you.
Hold on. I was looking to look around if I had something more comfortable.
All right, let's go ahead and bring up the second clip, and we'll go ahead and roll it for you, Magical. Get ready for those descriptors.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
We're going to do it. Okay, so apparently we're going to need just a few minutes here, but it will be just around the corner, hopefully, to see that second clip. So you can uncover your eyes for just a moment, Joshi.
I don't want to keep you there. You should have done what I did and just get the blindfolds. I ordered like a bunch
of
different ones.
Nobody's as extra as you, Magical.
Well,
that's the Doge mask out of nowhere. It was a face mask last time around. This time you actually have a full mask, and it actually looks pretty cool. I'm kind of jealous.
There you go.
Just a little
Honestly,
bit.
the Shiba's a pretty good look for you, gotta say.
It fits. It fits. The eyes,
fits?
everything. It fits
It's
really
even
well.
like similar.
The,
hair
the
color,
nose a little bit off. The nose just a little bit off. It's a little bit to the side. But if you had a longer nose and you could like turn it to the side, I do hear that we have our second clip ready to go. So Joshi,
Okay.
cover those eyes back. I don't want to see those pupils. And let's go ahead and see what Magical can do with some descriptors.
All right. I'm ready for this. So let's see. Okay.
You're set in place.
Big circle thing gets a guy that comes out of nowhere, and they get a lot of damage onto what looks like a person dressed up as a dinosaur, but suddenly they turn around onto that guy with the sword and murder them, and then they get someone else
Jesus.
rooted, and they look to see what else they can do, and they're getting a lot of damage onto the big circle thing.
Well,
The
I
big circle
like the amount of words, right? So with Yoshi's, you had quality over quantity. You can take your blindfold off now, Mr. Joshi.
So-
It was quality over quantity. With yours, it's quantity over quality. You just throw words at them, but they all are directed towards the right area.
I think I'm just trying to figure out what the big circle thing is, because I'm pretty sure this is the play top lane where they're trying to like dive onto Darshan. Jimin comes top lane, but everybody on Cloud9 is like able to respond and kind of slap him
Is
around
that
with
a
the
big-
walls.
Is that a big
Is that a
circle
big circle
thing?
thing?
I don't know
feel
what
like
the
there's
big circle
so
thing
many
was.
things in League of Legends that can be big circle things. Like the
Like,
circles
none
are
of
very
them were in this
common
game.
shape.
What do you mean there's a lot? There's like two.
Two. Yep, two.
What?
That's all we're
Kennen,
going with,
Amumu,
two.
Swain, Sejuani.
Let's go ahead and
Any of them in the game?
No, that's why
Not
I'm
in this
confused what
one.
the big circle
Not
thing
in
is.
this one. Let's go ahead and bring back up that second clip if possible to go ahead and show Magical the clip that he Joshi rather sorry that Joshi did not get correct as it was the play towards the last parts of the game and specifically down towards that bottom nexus where Tenacity tries.
Nexus.
100
Inhibitor.
Thieves, Inhib, Nexus, same thing, right? In the end, they got the win.
Big circle.
But this was the play. So
Oh.
the big circle thing was the smoke screen, I think? Was that
No,
what you were
no,
going
The
with?
inhib?
The Nexus, or the
In-
inhib tower?
The inhibitor. The inhibitor.
Gotcha.
That's
yeah,
the big circle thing. See, even in
That's
that
like-
play, there were multiple big circle things.
I
It's
don't
like
know
a
what you're talking
medium
about.
circle at best. I gotta
I
say.
only
like,
saw one
Small to
circle.
medium.
Everything else had like angles on it, and those aren't circles. Only one thing had a circle.
but it's got a big crystal. It's got a triangle.
In the middle of it, but around
Yeah,
it
on
is a
top.
circle.
Well, that was a fun iteration
Maybe it's a
of
cone.
speed run. Magical, you're on top yet again. You got the guess right. Joshi, you and Cubby, we'll revisit it. We'll revisit it. We'll work it out. We'll work it
You know,
out.
we have to come up with ways to be very specific about our words. You know,
Yeah.
Magical's
I
just sitting over here
also-
rap godding, and there's a
Hey.
lot of circles in League of
Hey,
Legends.
Hey, I also had a lot more on the screen that I had to somehow justify. You only had like 2 or 3 champions at most.
At most. Well, it's all good at the end of the day. We still know the end of the game was a Cloud9 victory, and
It was.
Mazel, I feel like it was Cloud9 didn't do anything special. They solo killed Jimin. They brought a lot of people in
That's
mid
what
lane,
I was
and
gonna
Jimin
say.
was really struggling. But, you know, it wasn't as though like 100 Thieves was coming to contest him at the Dragons. Cloud9 were able to pick up the Rift Heralds without a whole lot of issue. They picked up the Dragons without a whole lot of issue. And it really just started with, as you said, Copy, one of our newer players for Cloud9, just beating up the PCS MVP.
I think that's the most interesting point is it didn't feel like the normal 100 Thieves in this game. And you could credit that to the way Cloud9 kind of approached the strategy in this one, particularly looking at that mid lane, shutting down Jimmy, and then 100 Thieves not really having anything to say besides that, right? There's some one-off plays, you know, a little bit of catch-outs. Shaden playing a little bit hyphy there himself, but I think as a whole, you could really applaud Cloud9 Academy for dominating such a dominant team in 100 Thieves Academy, Magical.
It was a great showing from them, honestly. This is kind of like why we were looking at Cloud9 as possibly being one of our top teams again this split. Even if it's changing up a good amount of the team, that's more cohesive with it. It looks like Shaden and Copy are on the same exact level together. King and Destiny, again, same exact level. The synergies are there for the side of Cloud9, and we're expecting them to top, or even try to contest Team Liquid for the top of the standings going into Proving Grounds.
Yeah, and that obviously a long way to go for that for sure, but I think that it's an interesting conversation to start looking at,
Yeah.
right? And they start seeing some of the developing natures of that conversation because I feel like especially honing back in and looking at game 2 for 100 Thieves Academy, where do we see a little bit of adaptation? I guess the question comes up for me, Joshi, like who steps up next for them? Who is able to kind of bring into this series revitalization for the Thieves?
Well, I feel like I got to see some payback from what we saw yesterday, right? Tenacity, and you kind of ran it on the Yasuo. But today, Jimien is really struggling to go into copy. So I feel like it's going to be on Tenacity to kind of step up. He only had like a small lead before Shaden and copy really upset the balance of power on the top side of the map. But if Tenacity can find a counter pick and run over this lane, it's an opportunity for 100 Thieves to continue playing that messy style, allow Tenacity to invade, and make Will look like one of the best junglers we've ever seen.
It might be looking like it. Can also potentially be it. Stepping in the shoes of Kenvi has a lot to fill, I will say, in that aspect of it. But I personally hope that Jimmian gets a little bit of love there in the second game in particular, trying to make sure this mid lane doesn't get busted open like it did so in that first one.
That's the time, like in solo queue, like, we were definitely going to see Will would get flamed by the mid lane. I can't believe you didn't come gank me. And then jungler types back, you died before I even cleared all of my camps. What do you want me to do? Right? So that's the kind of thing that we got to see. Copy found that solo kill really early on into the game. And once you start doing that, that's when the jungler can't necessarily have the same kind of impact. Maybe something that has more gank potential from Will could solve their problems.
Can I just say a little side note, and Magical, you make me talk about this a little bit.
Uh-oh.
King of Destiny, man. First of all, seeing King last split with Isles, knowing the troublesome situation, I guess, that was going on with the scrims and everything like that, coming into this split, like, this is the moment to shine for King. He's got his pal Destiny right next to him.
Yeah.
And it's looking all beautiful. Like a yellow brick road has just laid out in front of this duo now. And King is looking like a completely different player this split.
I mean, he's looking like a different player from even last week when he was on the LCS stage. You can tell that the camaraderie between King and Destiny is there. That sure, they had some struggles last week on the LCS stage, but that's also with a team that they haven't been practicing with as much. When you have more practice with a team, when you're more confident in the rest of the map, you can see the power they bring to the table. And honestly, I think that's why I'm looking at Cloud9 as possibly contending for the #1 spot, the #1 seed going into Proving Grounds. Yes, it's only week 3, but that's not as far off as you think, because we've had 2 super weeks already. We got week 4 right around the corner. That's only got to be 2 days, and then we're more than halfway done with the season.
Yeah, and we're seeing, again, a number of things matter, right? The system obviously works. We've seen players like Dokla continue to move up. We've seen players like Kenvi, who's relatively new, go from an unknown solo queue player to now playing for Immortals LCS. King was a player who basically didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to play. He wasn't practicing nearly as much during spring because he was only playing on stage. And so it's that individual drive, I think, from King that really speaks to his character.
Indeed. Well, we'll see how that drive continues. And if Cloud9 Academy can drive a 2-home victory against 100 Thieves Academy. Champ select for game number 2 is ready to go. Let's see what happens, guys.
All right, we will see you after this game, Lennon, for a nice player interview. But we have got to dive in to this champion select, see how these two teams will turn the tides. There we go. All right, it's just
get him out of here.
There we go. We gotta get the pesky hosts out of the equation there. But I'm looking at this game. I'm looking at how 100 Thieves Academy can approach this draft and what they can do slightly different. I think the big thing for me is I don't want to see Shaden on that Graves. Like, I know it's pinpointing one thing that's minor, but it just showed that Will just didn't have as much confidence playing up against that. Now we dive pretty thick into the champion select. We see Graves is still open. They've grabbed Senna first to make sure they can get BMX onto something comfortable, but Shaden can easily grab that Graves right there.
And there it is, right? We are seeing BMFX going back to the same champion he's seen so much of his success on so far, going to be grabbing up the Senna. And this allows him to play much more of that weak side style that we know he's had some success with. But Will going directly to the Zac. This is something that we've seen them play a couple of times thus far, right? And Will, he's at a 100% win rate on it, but he's still looking for opportunities to really be the impact. And now Tenacity going right on back to the Yasuo. We got to see him calm down, though, because he tried to do it yesterday. He took some fights he shouldn't have, and it put them in a big hole. But we also know Jimmy can play this as well.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. This is no guarantee that it is going to be Tenacity playing it. And that's kind of why I like this. You already have the combination with Zach. It's kind of like having a budget Diana Yasuo composition. You have that power to really impact your lane, and the Yasuo would do even well into the Ahri.
Yeah, it's definitely something where you have plenty of opportunities to play. Cloud9, they have a lot of mobility, they have a lot of ways to get out from the elastic fling shot from Will, but they don't necessarily have an obvious person who's going to be grinding down the Zac. The Zac will become a monster later in the game when they hit level 9, when they continue to get more sustain. I feel like 100 Thieves have come up with a pretty logical composition so far. In Cloud9, they have a lot of individual talent to play around, but it's a little bit harder to kind of pilot this. It relies a lot more on all of your individual pieces.
And seeing as we're getting into the second part of the band, seems like Cloud9 are not convinced the Yasuo is going to go mid, that they are afraid of what might be picked by Jimmy and into the mid lane, especially that LeBlanc. We've seen a lot of power out of him, but I'm expecting the Yasuo to be flex mid. I'm expecting that that's the option. It does well. It's a fairly decent matchup into Ahri. Not the greatest matchup, obviously, but it's better than some of the other things we've tended to see, unless you want to go for something like maybe the Vigar. Maybe you can go for something that can contain Ahri a little bit more. And even still, we're seeing that, yeah, maybe Cloud9 is not as convinced as initially thought with the Gangplank ban.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of have to hedge your bets, right? Because it is a flexible character. You have to be very careful. And I feel like the Tryndamere ban is a little bit more targeted towards the top side of the map. But now Darshan, once again, going to be picking up this champion. He will have the Fiora. It's semi-blind, right? You have some knowledge that it might be going into the Yasuo, but you also don't know whether or not 100 Thieves are going to commit it towards the top side or the bottom side. In Cloud9, they have both of their solo laners. They are happy with both these matchups going into the Yasuo. And 100 Thieves now going to pick what they actually want to try and find in order to win. And while I feel like this is a champion that is a decent matchup for 100 Thieves, they're kind of running out of ways to bridge the gap, right? They are not looking at a composition that is going to be strong early on in the game, that is not going to be particularly impressive when the mid-game comes, when you are going up against Ezreal, Graves, Arya, Fiora. But if this game goes to 30 minutes plus, I feel like 100 Thieves almost win by default if they're not too far behind.
And I'm a bit surprised we didn't see that the Tom Kench got drafted earlier. It's still wide open and available. Wait a minute, that's going to be Kale support.
Huh? That's wild. That is absolutely wild. There's no way. Wait.
Is it Kale support or is it Yasuo support?
I actually hate both of those. Okay, alright, 100 Thieves are coming with something new, something different. I haven't seen anything like this, but we already know they've been a bit more experimental with a lot of their drafts. Golden Glue really taking some opportunity and trusting his players to come try and play this, because even I have no idea what kind of game plan they're really going to come in with. Destiny going to be going back to their con, and so they have every single member on Cloud9 with a bit of a dash, but 100 Thieves, I think it's going to be the Yasuo support. They're going to be Busio with a tool. He used to be a mid laner.
I was like, keep in mind, Busio used to be a mid lane player. He swapped to support because everyone talked about how great his shot calling capability was. And when you have something like Senna on your side, you feel more enabled to go for the wild picks. We've seen things like the Senna Seraphine, Senna Tom Kench, Senna Cho'Gath. Now we're seeing Senna and Yasuo paired up against with one another. That, to me, is one of the wildest things I've seen in a while.
Okay, now we have to look, right? Because we are seeing 100 Thieves. They have Kale, they have Zac, they have Corki, they have Senna, they have Yasuo. Every single one of these champions wants to get to at least 2 items. Every single one of these champions wants to get to level 11 and onwards. But Cloud9, they come online so much earlier. So 100 Thieves, they need to show that they are not going to get run over early in the game, or we might see an opportunity for a speed run from Cloud9.
I mean, you got the opportunity for the speedrun, you're right, for Cloud9, but you also have the scaling. Zac, Kale scale really well, same with Senna, Corki. If they can just survive, that's the big thing, is surviving the early game, not playing aggressively. They might even have to just forfeit certain objectives right out of the gates just to make sure they are staying relatively safe. They might fall initially a little bit far behind, a little bit behind, not too far behind. But that's going to save them, I think, in the long run, if that can happen. Otherwise, Cloud9 have all the opportunity to run them over. And so I'm just curious to see how this is going to go as we get up onto the Rift for our second game in our first series. This is the last day of week 3. Busio is playing support Yasuo.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy stuff coming through from 100 Thieves, showing that they are willing to flex the Yasuo, not just in the solo lanes, but also in the bottom lane. Makes this champion much more threatening for them. It's kind of a message to everybody else, but now they have to win with it, right? If you just like showcase like, aha, we have this counter pick, this pocket pick that nobody was expecting, and then you can't win with it, people are like, okay, well, great, do it again. We will beat you yet another time. But this is the opportunity, right? I'm expecting Shaden to really be the player who is going to make this game work for Cloud9. He knows Tenacity has no priority. He knows Jimmy has no priority. He knows bottom lane has no priority. He is going to be the player who can go anywhere he wants, invade Will every single time on the map, and so that counterplay between these two relatively fresh junglers is going to dictate whether or not Cloud9 can win this game quickly.
I think that's what the wildest thing for this 100 Thieves draft is to me. That, as you mentioned, they have no priority. So it's freedom for Shaden to rotate into the jungle, take away things from Will, make sure this Zac is not going to have a fun time at all. They've already got a ward on blue buff too, placed down by Darshan.
Ooh. Busio and BMFX pulling the wave a little bit, so it will be pushing towards them, but King and Destiny are not going to miss out on any of the minions. And the great thing for Cloud9, they see a ward, they know where Will is, they know he's not going directly towards their side of the map, and so Shaden has a bit more freedom to actually try and pick his path at this point. He can choose to cut through the mid lane and go take away the red buffs, take all the high quality camps in the Raptors and the Krugs, or he can just opt into a vertical jungle. He has the decisions to make, whereas 100 Thieves are just reacting.
As we'll take blue buff, doing the double camps start that you tend to do on the blue side. If you're on Zac, as right there, Jimmy getting chased out of mid lane, Shaden crossing over, they know that Will lost out on the bottom side of the map, that he doesn't have any jungle, well, he has some jungle camps, but he doesn't have that much that he can gain from going towards the bottom half. Even seeing the pings, he's going straight to Krugs.
Yeah, and so now we have to see the shift, right? Because Tenacity was already pulling the wave regardless. He didn't have an opportunity to ever try and push it. It's going to be Shaden up on the top side looking for these opportunities to create more pressure on the map. But Will going down to the bottom lane, he will not be able to clear these out before Shaden can once again cross to the bottom side.
Okay, looking for a little bit of a skirmish here in the bot lane, getting a good amount of damage onto King. VMFX, the Ignite was sticking on his head, or to use the heal. Gotta keep him pretty low here, as Busio is truly the carry in this bot lane, and he's the one you want to start funneling more of these kills into, and that's why he's playing so far up to try to chase away King and Destiny.
And Will's here as well, but so is Shaden. So far, we're seeing Shaden doing a decent job at trying to prevent Will from having an opportunity to play, and as Will walks into the bush, Cloud9 don't know.
They didn't spot him, but they should know he's nearby. Nice Elastic's clean shot to be able to pull them back in as well. They get the double knocker coming in from the tornado of Busio. They're far enough back towards the turret that there's not really a threat from the side of Will. They just don't have that damage yet.
So the early invades from Shaden are going to be paying off because Will opting into this gank is going to be behind in his ability to actually farm. So small advantage going to be going over towards Cloud9 in the early game. They're going to be okay with this, but we're going to be asking Shaden to do even more. Darshan has a small lead and the wave is coming back to him, so it's an easy opportunity for Shaden to try and find another opportunity.
And with how it is, it's the slow push back and forth. It'll give plenty of time for Shaden to get up to the top lane and assist Darshan. Look for that play onto Tenacity. Slow down Kale as much as possible. It's always that level 16 mark, right? You're always doing the countdown when you see Kale's Cassidans, those late game scaling champions, because once Kale hits level 16, that is truly where the biggest power spike she'll ever have is in the game.
And so, you know, Tenacity's doing a pretty decent job. He's opted into skill matchups before against a number of other players. Doing it against Darshan, again, very bold. And now Shaden up here on the top side, as is Will. Shaden several camps ahead, has a decent experience lead. But both of them coming here, and there's definitely a big win for Cloud9 this 2v2 if they take it.
I feel like Will's more here to defend. Make sure that there's not going to be that play onto Tenacity. He spots out Shaden, keeping Tenacity relatively safe. Even Destiny was committed for this play.
And Cloud9, as they back away, it is a free setup for Darshan. Even though they don't get any flashes, they don't get any kills out of that play coming in from Destiny and Shaden. It doesn't necessarily cost them a whole lot.
No.
It's still King down there in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it was only King in the bot lane, so he gets a lot of that experience on his own. Even if it is difficult to still try to gain some of the gold back from BMFX and Busio, there's a lot of drifting Destiny is now off to. He is really exploring around the map, gaining a little bit of vision control into the jungle of Will, even spotting out Jimmy and forcing out Valkyrie.
So they are choosing to opt to let King just kind of do his own thing down there in the bottom side.
All right, stretching strikes, pulls back in. Darshan gets the flash out of him. So Summoner now burned onto Darshan in the top lane, helping Tenacity start to win out on the skill matchup.
But the wave situation hasn't been fixed. Darshan is still threatening a freeze, and Destiny and Shaden looking somewhere else. Shaden is still in the top half of the map.
Still looking, but I think they want Jimmy. Package will be up in about 2 minutes, so punish this Corki, so when he has the package, it won't be that impactful. They even got the charm onto BMFX. The juggling of the aggro here underneath the turret was great, but Shaden takes too much of it. They didn't get it back and forth with 2 kills over to the side of Cloud9. They'll take it unless Will can turn it around, because he got the jump onto Copy, pulling him back in with the stretching strikes, looked for a little bit more damage. But King is here as well to make sure that Will is forced back to the turret. Copy survives to see another day.
Good play coming in from Destiny, making sure he lands the Gleaming Quill before he heals up. Copy. This is what we're looking to see from Cloud9. They traded a kill back, Shaden taking 1-2 minute turret shots, but this is the kind of aggression we are looking to see from them. They're taking things away. Will's behind. Darshan has converted his freeze into a pretty large CS lead already, and so we are starting to see some of the glimpses of what Cloud9 needs to do, but it's not as though their window is closed already, right? They're still waiting for Ezreal to hit that first item. They're still waiting for Ahri, Graves, and Fiora to get to that first item. And Cloud9, they're a team that plays for all of these dragons incredibly effectively.
And for me, I'm looking at the compositions drafted, and this is a great example of the first item spiked versus the second or third item spikes. Cloud9 have this composition that once they get their first items completed pretty much across the board, they're incredibly powerful. It's going to be really difficult for 100 Thieves to really play against them. While 100 Thieves need those items. They need to get further because they can just get picked off like this with Jimmy having no way out. Though he dodged the charm, unfortunately, he still falls.
Okay, good dodges though from Jimmy, and stays alive and forces a couple more cooldowns out from side of Cloud9. But we are seeing one thing that has been kind of unique about Cloud9 in terms of some of our stronger teams is their lack of priority over the Dragon. And now King, with no attention from Destiny, he's getting shoved in, and they will lose a play. So Busio on this Yasuo support is doing a good job.
Yeah, making sure they're getting pressure onto King and Destiny, while Destiny has been on a journey, traveling across the lands to make plays for Cloud9. It's given freedom to Busio and BMFX, where it's a strange lane. The center Yasuo, I will be honest, as much as I've tested out a lot of things, that is not one of them I have actually tested out. So I'm very interested to see your perspective of how they will be now that they're starting to crest level 6.
I mean, now that they are level 6 with Busio, they have some kill threat, they have some dive threat, but it's not really on their own. They are generally relying on somebody else to come in with the crowd control, and that is going to be Jimmy with package or Will coming down for a dive.
Well, Will's focused more on the top side, trying to save Tenacity's life, maybe even getting a kill into Darshan since he does not have the TP. The Grand Challenge laid out, trying to get the heal back for Darshan, but he'll fall to Tenacity.
That's the second time we've seen Will coming top lane to save Tenacity's bacon. Got the flash the first time, gets the kill the second time.
Well, BMFX is in a little bit of danger. He's still only level 5. Had to burn the heal to make sure that he got out of danger, and with Destiny only being... no, he is level 6 now. He was level 5 at the initial onslaught of that fight, but now that he's level 6, he has a lot more kill pressure against BMFX if Busio leaves him alone.
Yeah, and so I feel like we are seeing right now that Tenacity, he hasn't had that much pressure relative to what Shaden's put, right? Shaden has come top the one time, and Will's come top twice, but Darshan, he's going aggressive, and he's losing this matchup right now to Tenacity. Tenacity has asked for a lot of these skill matchups. He's asked for the ability to just kind of style on a lot of his opponents, and now going up against Darshan, somebody who has been one of our most dominant laners, looking towards all of Academy, is now in a bad spot. And Jimmy is picking up the package, and the Dragon's still available.
TPing in. This is a good use of the package. This is what you want to see, Josh. I know it. You love to see this kind of play when grabbing package for Corki. It's always around the timers. When the Dragon is up, The fact that they have these members already set up in the bot lane, they don't have TPs from top lane, so it will be a 4v4 fight if it commences. But at least nets them control of Crab.
Yeah, and it lets them control a little bit about this fight, right? Cloud9 have to devote a whole lot more if they want to grab this Mountain Dragon than they would have otherwise. And Corki pushing in the mid lane will get matched by Darshan. Doesn't look like he's going for the fight just quite yet, but he's so much faster.
Smite secure by Shaden, but the fight commences afterwards. They got the stretching strikes, and they got the Yasuo ult on the two members. They got the kill on a Shaden, but they lose out on Jimmy. And look who's rotated around this entire time. Darshan is here to party. He made sure that he's got the movement, looking to see if they can get the return kill into Destiny, because DMFX is forfeit in the fight.
Okay, but it's a 2 for 2 for 100 Thieves. They give up the dragon, but they still have a gold lead. This is actually looking way better for 100 Thieves than it has any right to. The fact that Copy is 2-0-3 is kind of their last gasp for Cloud9. And I say that, it's only 11 minutes into the game with the scaling composition, but if you are scaling and you are winning early on, that is absolutely ridiculous. So Copy, the one player for Cloud9, again, played on a team with tenacity before, now going to have to prove that he's going to be able to play this mid-game better.
And we look at how this fight around the Dragon was. That was a great package by Jimian, but it's still an outnumbered fight because Darshan rotates around.
Yeah, but we also see BMFX at the same time. This is a 4v5 coming out from 100 Thieves, and they trade evenly. That's something that we were looking at them earlier in the week. They just take a lot of 4v5s, and they just outhands people. Will, great engaged. Jimmy and splitting the fight. They did everything they needed to set things up correctly, and Darshan couldn't match.
Plus, Tenacity was able to get another plate top lane. This Kale continuing to scale. Has level 9. Only a few more levels. Got 7 more to go until you have the full scaling composition online. Well, at least the full, what is it, the 99% of power for the side of 100 Thieves in Tenacity. That's when it will be there.
Yeah. And Busio is doing fine. Here's the dive.
Ooh, Busio's got the fancy feet there with Will to save the day. Even
get
if
Copy.
he falls, it's a trade of 1 for 1. Jimian on the other side with the Rift Herald. Burn. It will be burned away before it could even crash into the turret. And somehow, Busio turns a fight that should have been awful for him around.
And they get the kill onto Copy too, right? Copy was the one play we were saying he's going to be super strong here. He's going to be the one that can actually find a lot of these kills, but he goes down. Will's target selection on the Zac this game has been fantastic. He's preventing Shaden from playing. He's preventing Copy from doing anything. And just controlling the battlefield is buying time for Tenacity. It's buying time for Jimmy, and it's buying time for Busio to scale.
All in all, too, Tenacity not even TPing towards the top side of the map, holding on to that so he can join in any potential fights later on. This might be the time for 100 Thieves to strike a bit early, as you talked about, the scaling composition. Having, even if they're even or slightly behind, we were saying that's what we wanted to see from 100 Thieves. Even if they're slightly behind, that's fine. You can forfeit those things because you scale. They're not falling behind, though. They're even at 14 minutes into the game.
Yeah, so far, Tenacity, with the early deficit, he was down like 15 CS going up against Darshan, but he has caught up. A good gank from Will. Punishing Darshan being over-aggressive means that this kill has both an experience and a gold advantage going into the 14-minute mark before anybody has their mythics completed. And now, as Tenacity threatens a freeze, he even has Will here to make sure that Darshan can't threaten to break it.
Yeah, that's great calls here from this top laner. Now, everyone's always been hyped to watch play. He is a fantastic player in his own right. Why he subbed in and was the sub for 100 Thieves going into Worlds even. He's a player that we've always been hyped to watch play, and having the trait to witness it here into a veteran such as Darshan, showing his power. Look at how he trades back there on a Darshan who jumped in and got one lunge off, and then Tenacity takes more damage on him.
Ooh, yeah, but it's still very back and forth right now. Will and BMFX trying to find an opportunity. I think the soul dropping should tip off Darshan. The people are here.
Yeah, you gotta be careful though, because even if you have the members nearby, they feel like they have the power. 4v5 advantage to Cloud9, but they are secure in their knowledge, knowing that they can at least secure the Rift Herald. While Tenacity has hit level 11, one of 2 big power spikes for Kale.
Yeah, Sun Eater Kale coming through as well, level 11 like you said, and that's the first one. Jimmy and also very close to level 11, doing some damage.
Yeah, but King's doing a little bit more, so he's got to be a bit more careful. Has not gotten the Muramana completed, still on the Mana Mune. as it's scaling up, getting more items, getting more damage. We look across the map, we look across the board of these advantages for each side, because some lanes have a far larger advantage than another for Cloud9 or for 100 Thieves. We look at Cloud9. Shaden, he's doing a great job at the moment of making sure that he controls Will, but Will has also done a great job in forfeiting some of his jungle to benefit the rest of the team.
Yeah. We've definitely been seeing Will popping off, and I feel like we are seeing 100 Thieves kind of showing why we've been saying that they've just kind of been out-handsing people. It's the first time that we saw 100 Thieves actually contest a dragon.
Okay, Will fighting against Copy inside the jungle. Charm will connect. But Will's pretty tanky. He can pick up some blobs, be fine, all the while. Shaden does get another neutral objective of the game for Cloud9. Every one of them has gone the way of Cloud9.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves, I mean, we didn't notice this before, but Jimmy with the package was ready to fight for that dragon. It was a good timer, but now it's going to be a little bit late for the next one, right? If Cloud9 do choose to force the issue. But still, I feel like 100 Thieves, like, they didn't contest the second dragon. Like, they actually have not been particularly good at contesting a lot of dragons throughout the course of the season. They're actually one of our lowest teams in terms of, like, dragon control, despite the fact that they are winning. It's kind of shocking that they only get 1.9 dragons per game. They only get 40%
That is crazy.
of them.
It is very crazy that a team that had before the last game an 11-game win streak barely gets the dragons. They put no care into that. They're more focused on the side lanes, trying to see if they can set up leads that way. If they have to forfeit a neutral objective, sure. They're fine with that because with a scaling composition like this, you can afford to give those over to your opponent. You can allow yourself to give up a neutral objective such as Dragon, such as Rift Herald, knowing that as long as you're not dying or even getting yourself some leads like Tenacity has in top lane, you're scaling.
Yeah. So suddenly, you know, typically I am a big fan of the principle of the being slightly more greedy, right? You know, the core idea being that if you can pick the exact same, you know, power spikes as your opponent, but they all come exactly 1 minute later, you're probably going to win, because that just means that your opponent has such a small window in order to make things happen. But Cloud9, they had a giant window to make things happen. They had opportunities for Copy to be incredibly strong. They ganked him over and over, but we didn't see the same kind of pressure from Destiny and from Shaden coming into the mid lane in order to try and make Jimmy miserable, and Copy, without the solo kill, wasn't able to find the advantages.
Couldn't find the advantages, couldn't translate it into side lane like Will was able to do for Tenacity. Only one kill, and Tenacity now feels like he is the king of whatever lane he's a part of.
Yeah, level 12, already got the Kraken Slayer completed. King steals away the crab.
And the Mammoth
He's the king for now.
He's a king, but is he the king? That's the big thing. He's got to claim that title. He's got to prove
King
that
of
he
the
deserves
crabs.
it. As right now, Copy and Jibian, bit of a trade back and forth. Nice charm, connects. Both of them taken down to almost half health.
But the fact that Jimmy is up 30, 40 CS already is big, right? And we talked about the level 16 from Kale, but one of the big things that we got to pay attention to is the level 16 from Jimmy. And
yeah, true.
The big thing about Corki, the reason why he's super stupid nuts later on in the game, is because the ratio in his rockets, the AD ratio, improves from like 0.2 to I think it's over 1, right? Like his damage increases 5 times effectively over the course of just going from level 6 to level 16, and suddenly he can blow people up. And now as this Rift Herald gets dropped top lane, I don't even know if it crashes because of the number of 100 Thieves members that are here.
That would be the second time this game the Rift Herald doesn't get a crash. Might actually be able to get this one committed. Yes, we'll take the turn, but only just barely.
Just barely, and I feel like Cloud9, for a team that we were praising their ability to play very standard League of Legends in Game 1, is getting punished for not doing even more, right? They are trying to make some of these plays happen, but they aren't necessarily doing all the steps right. 100 Thieves are playing fantastic mitigating League of Legends in what is perhaps the strongest plan I've seen from this team all season.
And when we look at how we were praising Cloud9 last game, expecting them to be a team to contest that of Team Liquid, not just Team Liquid, but 100 Thieves are also in that conversation. They are a team that everyone is expecting to be a top 3 team. And looking at the top 3 that we have, Cloud9, 100 Thieves, and Team Liquid, honestly, it's hard to make an argument for only one of those teams being better than the other, because we're seeing here that, sure, 100 Thieves had a pretty devastating loss in the first game, but look at this turnaround. Look at how they're now playing. The Zac for Will looking for the damage onto Shaden as well. With the charge connecting, that's a lot of damage. They're going to be able to get the kill onto Copy. And Copy's away. He's trying to escape from Will's wrath. All the while, Boostio, why were you in the middle of 3 members of Cloud9? I was just praising you guys. Why'd you have to go and make it a caster curse?
Oh no, Jimmy once again having a bit of an off day. He doesn't use the package, he just uses the Valkyrie right into the middle of the enemy team, and Cloud9, they're threatening to try and match the scaling by just running over the game early on. Can Tenacity do anything?
He had to flash away, still has Divine Intervention, but they don't really have the damage with only a Phantom Dancer in the inventory of Tenacity. Still needs to get level 16 before it's the true monster KO.
Yeah, and Cloud9, as they commit over to the Baron, you are seeing some pings coming through from 100 Thieves to pick up the Dragon, slow down some of the scaling. And so Cloud9, by opting to only pick up the one objective, are putting themselves in a spot where they are committed to trying to find a large enough lead over the next 3 minutes to be uncontested by 100 Thieves.
Now BMFX is in a bad spot. Darshan is looking to chase him down. They zeroed got the grand challenge.
Got what?
Blow him up, too. Might as well. BMFX cannot fight against that top laner of Cloud9.
So, let's take track of what's happening so far, right? As we pass the 21-minute mark, there's a small lead, about 1,000 to 2,000 gold lead for Cloud9. Cloud9 have only picked up 1 turret up on the top lane with the help of the Rift Herald. And we are getting dangerously close to Yasuo completing a second item, to Jimmy hitting level 16, to Tenacity hitting level 16, and Cloud9 do not currently have a large enough gold lead. But the fact that they find BMFX, the fact that they have the Baron right now, means that they can try and make the plays, but Shaden taking 2/3 of his HP.
And I also like that attempted play from Destiny on to Jimian. You got to try to get some sort of pick. You have Baron on your side. Your composition is good at that level 1 spike. We talked about that before, Josh, but now we're getting to the 2 items. We're getting past that point where they feel comfortable. And so if they get caught out here, or if they can turn around the pick, nice last breath, but it's not enough for Boostio to execute these members. They're still working on the second item for Yasuo, so BMFX will fall underneath this turret, and that is Cloud9 taking a large advantage.
The timing is all wrong coming through from 100 Thieves. Now Jimian's gonna die.
Jimian's dead.
Nice
no. Across the board for Cloud9.
Oh no, 100 Thieves, you are so set up for success, but then you blow it all right. The Messi is learning, but you need to understand when you're trying to find your advantages. They think they can find the kills, and if Will lands those knockups, if he's able to catch both of them, maybe it works out. But Cloud9, this is when they're trying to find their lead. It was 1,000 to 2,000 before. It's 6,000 to 7,000 now, and 2 inhibitors down. Cloud9 were just gifted the game by 100 Thieves.
This is the lead that you've been asking for from Cloud9 this entire time, wondering where it is, the window. We thought it had passed, but if it's gifted back to them by 100 Thieves, playing so disjointedly, not going as a unit, this is a composition that, like we said, level 16 is pivotal for 2 of their members to turn it around. Another item is needed for Boostio before they can fully be intact and be able to thwart anything Cloud9 throws at them.
And again, fighting at exactly the wrong time, right? Like, Cloud9, we're trying to force a fight right now. Cloud9, we're the ones who are trying to use the spike of the Baron buff that is mostly gone at this point in order to try and blow things open. And 100 Thieves, they look for things. And this is one of the things that we've been paying attention to with Will. While his ability to play early on in the Zac, his ability to control a lot of the side lanes with these ganks and counter ganks has been quite good. The engage coming out for 100 Thieves has been a little bit lacking. Trying to find these fights, he's not able to do it when there are so many dashes on Cloud9.
As the Baron times out, Cloud9 takes 1 more remaining outer structure, that being in the
bot.
top lane. And all the while, Tenacity is not here. He's got TP available, so he can always join in if a fight breaks out. But the fact that Darshan goes to meet with him in the spot lane means Tenacity, without minions, cannot topple a structure and get some bounty gold back for the team.
But he is 15. He is level 15.
Look at the
Cloud9, as strong as they are, the clock is still ticking. They want to try and pick this up, but there's enough wave clear from Jimian.
Well, the thing is, while they got the lead, Nasty, the other side of the map is struggling. They got the last embrace coming into the backline. They've got the shutdown on Shaden. Copy on the other side uses the Spirit Rush, but here comes the TP. Darshan wanting to save the day, but it might be too late with Destiny going golden, jumping back into the team with the battle dance. Busio, though, is low, and it's Copy looking to take down the team again. Copy absolutely monstrous on this Ahri.
Oh my gosh, and Cloud9, they get away with it. Shaden fell instantly, but I think Cloud9, they're turning it up. They're taking the fights at the right time, and Cloud9 fighting 3 members dead. We said before, Team Liquid try and ends these, but will Cloud9, remember they're on a timer, but they want to back out. There's a dragon that they can pick up. They are satisfied with taking all 3 inhibitors over the course of the Baron buff and a little bit extra. And so Cloud9, they think they can take another fight while Tenacity, he's dinged 16.
He is 16, but he still needs to be a part of these fights from the get-go. And you can tell that Cloud9, they understand they're more powerful. 100 Thieves thought maybe they could get the pick onto Shaden, that they could turn their the tides back in their favor, but it has to be with Tenacity already there. But he needs to be in the side lanes now, because you have double super minions pouring in from every single lane.
Yeah, and honestly, like this dragon that Cloud9 is going to be picking up in a second, like, great, who cares? You're not going to be getting to the Infernal Soul. You're not going to be able to match the scaling for at least another 5 minutes, and that is too much time to give over to 100 Thieves. But as Cloud9, they start setting up, this should be the death push. This is going to be the do or die moment for 100 Thieves. And Tenacity, extra 100 attack range, most people don't really talk about it. That is absolutely brutal. You just auto-attack Ezreal from a greater attack range than he can hit from. Graves can't really hit from you, and it's an opportunity for Tenacity to try and kite. And as this Infernal Dragon goes down, Cloud9, they're burning precious time, but they know 30 seconds left until the Baron. That's what they're going to take their fight on. That's what they're going to gamble the ability to win the game. If they pull 100 Thieves out of the base, Cloud9 can control when the fight happens.
It feels like this game has gone to what we expected at the very onsite of this entire fight. An entire game, mind you, is the fact that it's Tenacity and Copy, the former teammates, facing off against one another, and those being the 2 pivotal members. These picks from Copy have set up the turnarounds each time for Cloud9, while Tenacity, he is farmed up. He's got 3 items in his inventory with a Grievous Wound. Cloud9, though, they don't even look for a fight. They instead look for the objective. It is spotted out, but with super minions pouring in from the bot lane, this is a risky attempt from 100 Thieves to try to thwart.
Yeah, they know that Tenacity doesn't have the teleport available. They can just let these super minions crash down in the bottom lane. They stop the backs. Where do Cloud9 go? They try and force the issue, or they go back to the Baron? Jimmy,
go back.
He has his package. They just need to time it out.
Yeah, you just go back to the Baron. You're far enough into this game. You've got a lot of damage coming in once you have Darshan on top of the objective. J-Man might have the package, but who's there to join him? Who's there to deny? Exactly. They can't. They have to give up the second Baron of the game to Cloud9.
Okay, and as Cloud9, they get their resets in. They know there's 1 fight left to take. They want to make sure they're doing it with as much spent gold as possible. Mana comes through, and extra needlessly is done here for Copy. Darshan still trying to get the last bit of gold necessary. I think he's trying to get the Ravenous Hydra before they actually fight. And so, I said, if 100 Thieves get to minute 30, they basically auto-win. There's a Flame Horizon completed for Tenacity. He's actually just totally blown open the top lane. Jimmy also up 60 CS. The only place where there's a CS lead is King over Busio. But Busio has hit 2 items. I feel like 100 Thieves have done everything necessary to get them to a spot where they can actually play.
But on the other side, Cloud9, they're no slouches themselves. 3 items pretty much across the board, except for that of Darshan. And like you said, probably wants to recall, finish off that Ravenous Hydra. There's a lot of capability for both teams to shift the tides, even if you have these inhibitors exposed, both in mid and bot lane. 100 Thieves are not out of this fight at all.
They're not out, but they're down package, right? We were seeing Jimmy and try to use it to actually contest for the Baron buff. And so, now, Will looking for the engage, but with all the dashes, he needs to be very careful. He needs to wait for some other opportunity to force a dash out of one of our players.
Especially now that they got the Baron minions pouring into this mid lane and bot lane. Will went deep into enemy lines, and now he's Bloblet form. He's gonna die upon arrival. Unstoppable King. It is he who is the king of the Rift with tenacity, using divine intervention to save himself, getting a little bit of damage onto the back line of Cloud9. But now they are forced back to the Nexus Search. Not one. Oh, ho, ho. That is what you expect here from King, from Shaden, when they're this far ahead. They can annihilate the members of 100 Thieves. So not only do they stop the 11-game win streak, they stop the late-game scaling composition of 100 Thieves to take a clean sweep over them 2-0.
And we're seeing Cloud9, it feels like they played standard League of Legends both games, and they got stifled really hard. I thought 100 Thieves were in a position to actually try and win this game based on how well they had played out their lane states. The fact that they were coming out with the scaling composition with a lead, but 100 Thieves pick and engage at the wrong time. And while Messi is learning, Messi also loses you games this time around. Cloud9, their stock standard, cold as ice, ready to take down 100 Thieves with even the smallest of missteps.
And it's crazy too when those missteps happened. It happened after the window that we had designated for Cloud9 to find those advantages.
They have to win now, and then it's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Let him have it.
Yeah, let him have it. Here you go. You can have it.
That's my ice cream.
Yeah, tell him that's your ice cream. That's your ice cream. That's pretty much what it felt like there. Cloud9 are a team that knows how to capitalize on those mistakes as well. So, as you said, while Messi is learning, a team like Cloud9 with a lot more veterancy across the board for the entire team, or even having these hot young rookies that have been dominating so far. Copy is a good example of someone we expect to be in the LCS soon. Shaden, a player that's been hyped up for some time, now looks like he's in perfect form with the rest of the members of Cloud9. They get this 2-0. They take the lead over 100 Thieves and are slowly clawing their way back up in the standings. Right now, we're going to toss to a break. When we come back, we'll have our hosts of Mazel here for an interview. Make sure you stay tuned.
Welcome on back, everyone. I'm here with the Verizon post-game interview, joined by the ADC for the victorious Cloud9 Academy. I'm joined by King, my dude, coming in, smashing 100 Thieves, 2-0 on the day. First of all, how does that feel to end week 3 on such a strong note?
It feels pretty good. I think we easily could have went 6-0. The second game against TL, I think I have a lot of regrets about that one, but yeah, it's all right. It's not that good because I think it's not the result I wanted.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, but you get the 2-0 today. You guys feel a little bit good going into next week as well, or I guess the next competitions. First of all, though, talk about this game a little bit more. Talk about this 2-0 victory. The second game of the series, you had to deal with something a little bit unique in Busio's Yasuo. Tell me about approaching that into the game, and how did you guys kind of discuss the way to attack it?
I think the Yasuo, it actually caught me off guard because I actually think it's a good idea, and I honestly might even steal it for myself. After the game,
Yes.
the first thing I said was, "Bro, I want to play Yasuo into Ezreal as well." But yeah, I think we had a very clear game plan of like how we want to play team fights. We don't want to like hard commit or give them the engage. I mean, I think we did give it to them a few times. Where on the dragon fight, the bot engage, and at the end, I guess that was more of a bait though. But yeah, I think we just knew that we needed to not like give them what they wanted, and we played around it well. I mean, every champion on our team had a dash, so if someone got caught, I think it's reportable.
All right, so we're gonna start counting the dashes on Cloud9 Academy's compositions that you guys draft. Make sure they're counting up good. I will ask you though, and I don't want to get too much into the nitty gritty details or anything, but you, King, have had such an interesting story and such an interesting progression in Academy itself, especially last spring, having a very interesting situation in your own right. How does it feel coming into summer for you, man? How does it feel coming into Academy, coming into the spot, knowing that you are the tried and true ADC, that you're kind of working your way through this split?
I think this split for me, it's all about actually being able to show like I'm at the top and actually win the whole thing. Because even though in the past 3 splits I might have thought I was the best, but I didn't actually be able to prove it by winning the whole thing. And I think this is like I feel really good about this team. I'm really happy with the roster we have. I'm really confident in all of them. And yeah, I think we can do it. And this split compared to last one. Like last one, I didn't scrim. I scrimmed one game in like 3 weeks for
Yeah.
the first like 3 weeks I was playing. I only got like one scrim, but now I just came off of like 2 weeks of LCS scrims, and I feel like really really confident.
Exactly that. And I want to talk about that a little bit next. Just a quick little side question in your LCS experience now. How did it feel getting a chance to kind of feel your way out into that situation, into the live situation as well, into those games?
Um, I mean when I first heard it, I literally didn't believe it. Shaden came into we were in Korea, and Shaden and Destiny came into the academy room like, "Yo, Berserker just lost his passport. You're LCS now." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." Like I just thought trolling. But,
Whatever you
um,
say.
it was a bit interesting because obviously last year I had a very similar opportunity. Um, I tried to approach it this time with the knowledge I took from before. I think
Mhm.
I think I did it a lot better this time in terms of the practice. Obviously, the games themselves didn't go that well,
Yeah.
the on stage. But I think I actually improved a lot, and I learned a lot from the guys in LCS. I think the coaches, Baba and Jensen, helped me a lot, and I'm gonna try to bring that stuff to academy.
Love to hear it, man. Can't wait to see it working through. Now, I will talk a little bit about the roster. Last little bit here. Working with Destiny again. We got to hear the interview with Destiny. It just feels like it's right, feels comfortable, feels good. How does it feel working with their main man again?
Yeah, I mean, the last time I played with him was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But even though we haven't played like actually played together in 3 years, it feels like he's probably the player I'm still most comfortable playing with in bot lane. Even though like, yeah, so yeah, it feels good. I feel really confident playing
Good.
with him. I think we can improve a lot. I think we did improve a lot from the start of our LCS scrims. We were like getting completely like turboed But I think by the end of scrims, we were actually doing quite well. But yeah,
Love to
I feel
hear it, man.
confident, and we have like how long? How long is left in the split? Like 6 weeks.
Yeah, something
And
like
this-
that. 4 or
Yeah, and then
5,
proving
6
grounds. I
weeks.
feel like
so.
we can get we have a long time to get a lot better. I think we're pretty good right now in terms of academy bot lanes.
I love to hear it, man. Just love to see that. You guys got to keep those mammoth emotes going strong. We're gonna keep an eye on that for you. I just want to give you one last little bit to shout out anybody you want to talk about here, King.
Yeah, no, I mean, just I want to shout out all the C9 fans. Oh, any King fans, because despite me completely running it in LCS, I hope people can still support me. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
exactly that. Thank you so much, King. I really look forward to getting to talk to you a little bit more and seeing your continued growth for the rest of the split. We'll see you. We'll see if we can talk to you some more.
That's up to you, man. I hope to see you soon.
Alrighty, thank you so much, King. Gonna go ahead and bring back Joshi and Mr. Magical. No Mister today, Joshi.